have. But you know what? It is such a blessing when I get this moment every couple of months to reach out to this powerhouse of energy and go, "You're coming, right? You're really coming again. You're not going to just leave us. These people are coming to see you, right?" She's like, "I'll be there." And I love it. So please help me welcome up here our beloved, the one, the only, the Rabbi of all rabbis, our beautiful Rabbi Rachel Schultz.
Aloha, everybody. Quite a bit of build-up this morning. I hope I live up to the hype and the expectation. Deep collective sigh. Just everything happening, listening to that song, Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here, our wonderful creative thought. Last night I had the honor of being at the Celebration of Life Festival for Hawaii Care Choices with the lanterns going out. Oh, there's a photo of me up here. That's me surfing. You guys want to hear the cool thing about this picture? I'm pregnant there. Not bad, right? There's a little surfing Saphira inside of there. Which kind of brings me to what I'm going to talk about today. Wow, I see that and I get really emotional. And hearing all this, just getting emotional, coming up on Memorial Day tomorrow, the moon shifting into Gemini. Whoa, I can't be the only one who's like, all right, here we go. There's going to be a lot of contrast. There's going to be a lot of duality coming out of this like lunar eclipse, Mercury retrograde portal thing we've been in. I know I can't be the only one who's like, all right, just hold on. Just go with it. Like you're on a roller coaster, you know what I mean? Like, all right, all I can do is hold on and just smile and have fun. And the theme this month couldn't have been better because it's emotions. And I don't know if it has been the moon or Mercury, or we can blame whatever we want, or maybe it's just being a human. I don't know. But I have been really emotional lately. And then my topic for this week, of course, is high tide or low tide. Hence, the surfing photo, I'm guessing. And in what I shared in the email that was sent out, I talked about how, like, as a surfer, you know, the tide makes a difference, right? High tide and low tide. It really impacts the waves. It impacts whether you're going to die if you hit a rock or not. No, genuinely, I mean, these are the things you have to think about. And I think about the moon becoming new again, right? The sky getting dark, everything being called to light up a little more. And something as big and powerful as the moon that impacts the tide, right? And if the ocean is like vast and infinite and like beyond our comprehension, how deep it really is, like a whole nother universe in itself, can be impacted by the moon, of course we're going to be impacted by the moon, right? Of course there's going to be high tide and low tide. Of course there's going to be emotions. And we've been hearing about, you know, ancient cultures like in ancient Judaism and in Jewish mysticism and Kabbalah, like astrology is a big part of that. We're a lunar calendar. We're based on the moon, right? Planting and harvesting, and that's when you're supposed to do things. And today is actually the beginning of the Jewish month because we're coming on the new moon. And to me, that's always just kind of made a lot of sense that we're a people of the moon. So I've been feeling a lot of these emotions with the moon, with Mercury. I don't know, we can blame whatever it is, but there's been a lot of high tide and low tide recently. And with everything going on in the world, I mean, I don't think we can hide from it, right? Like, it's just the reality of where we are right now, that for some reason this is now more real than this. And it's very, very strange, and I feel like sometimes I just leave my body and I'm like an old lady just like, what is going on here? I feel like I'm in the wrong generation. Like, what? How are we doing this? How are we so disconnected? How is it like this? How are we as a people so numb to these things that keep happening to us that are horrific and tragic, and we all just do the best we can to muster on and go about our business because we have no other choice, apparently? I don't know. But I read a quote the other day that really, really struck me that I wanted to share with all of you. It's by someone named Elia Kaminsky, who's a Jewish Ukrainian deaf poet. And the quote is, At the trial of God, we will ask, why did you allow this? And the response will be an echo. Why did you allow this? Right? It's really, really, really like, I almost can't say it without getting choked up, because it is that reminder of like, we are so much more powerful than we realize. And for some reason, we think we're helpless, that we're just going to get washed up and down on shore, right, with the high tide and the low tide, and the moon's going to control us. That's not true in any capacity. We're sovereign beings with a power and choice and ability to rise up and make a change. I think back to ancient civilizations that have fallen because darkness overtook them. You think about Sodom and Gomorrah, you think about Rome, you think about Babylon, you think about even the German Empire during the Holocaust, right? And the way that when darkness starts to overtake a society, when we become a society that's void of a divine connection, when we become a society that's void of God, what we share here in this room is what I call God. I don't know if that's the right term. I don't know if it's better the ha, the aloha, the om, the shalom. Whatever it is that we, all as one, were put here to do, that to me is the power in it all. And I think back to, what we're going through is continuously happening because clearly we're not getting the lesson. It's like the teacher who says it over and over again. Raise your hand if you want to talk. Raise your hand if you want to talk. Okay, now you got to go out because you just keep screaming over everyone. That was me in first grade, by the way. That's a personal story. But when we read about or learn about, we just had our first little Hebrew school class, which was adorable, by the way, our first Havayna Hebrew school class. They baked rainbow challah, and it was adorable. But they made an art project of the story of creation, right? The 7 days that God created the earth, with obviously like the last day being we all got to rest, chill out. Which my daughter said to me, by the way, the other day, do you know what it's like to have a 3.5-year-old look at you and say, Mom, chill out? Oh, good to know she listens when I talk. But what was the first thing God created? Light in the darkness, right? This reminder that we agreed, for whatever reason, I don't know if we agreed to it or not, but we hear, so we must have, to incarnate in the contrast. That we knew there would be darkness. The moon doesn't stay bright all the time, right? It waxes, it wanes, goes from being dark to light. But it still manages to light up the sky when it's necessary. And it's not alone up there. The stars help the moon shine even brighter. They radiate when the moon is dark. So the moon almost backs up and it's like, hey, you shine for a little bit. Okay, now it's my turn again, right? Like that's kind of the dance they do in and out. And it makes me think as us as a people being called to really like shine our lights in a different way right now. And in a way that our ancestors have done before that isn't just sitting there hoping everything's going to change. In Judaism, if you say the prayer over the bread and then don't eat the bread, it's called bracha levatla, which is a sinful act. Meaning if you pray for something and then don't act upon it, you're actually committing a sin. So if I say the prayer that I'm going to wash my hands and then I'm like, oh, darn it, I forgot, and walk off and do something, that's actually a sin. Same way if you pray for gun violence to end, you pray for freedom of all people, you pray for these things, but you aren't putting action into that. That's actually a sinful act against yourself and God. To me, that's mind-blowing, and it reminds us of this power of choice that we were all given, that we came into a broken world in Judaism. Tikkun olam means to heal the world through mitzvot. Mitzvot actually translates to commandments, which has been kind of watered down to mean good deeds, act of loving kindness. You feed someone on the street who's hungry, that's a mitzvah. You smile at someone who you wouldn't have otherwise smiled at, that's a mitzvah. You go and donate, clothing or whatever. That's a mitzvah. So to practice what you preach is a mitzvah. And we live in a society where anyone can sit behind their computer and share and say whatever it is they want to do, but there's no action. There's nothing to back it up. And as we in a society, as a culture, are faced with more and more darkness, like, I'm sorry, we just have to acknowledge it. We just have to confront it. To me, you can't go around something. You have to go through it. We're in some dark times right now. We're coming out of the 11th plague. You guys have heard me say that before. But we think about the story of Exodus, another civilization that fell, right? Egypt. What happened? We finally got the strength to say enough is enough. I'm going to walk away from this. I'm going to choose something better. And it requires being uncomfortable. Growth is not a comfortable thing. We were all kids. We all had growing pains. There's a reason they call it growing pain. Your body literally hurts because it's growing. Isn't it the same for our minds and our hearts and our spirits? Isn't that going to be a little uncomfortable? I think about growing a human. I was not one of these people who enjoyed being pregnant, let me tell you. That is an uncomfortable process, beginning to end. I don't know why anyone would enjoy that. Props to the women that do, man, but that's God, right? That's creation. Life and death are of the same nature. The secret to life is to die before you die and learn that there is no death. That this is infinite. That we are infinite. But we have these bodies that we're given to actually make something happen while we're here. And if we don't make something happen while we're here, then what are we doing? Why are we waking up in the morning? What's the point? If we're not making things better by just a little bit, that smile, that costs nothing. It actually burns calories. It's better for you. But it means that you are giving something. And I feel like so often we sit there and we say, this isn't supposed to be happening this way. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. This isn't how it should have been. Okay, then change it. You're accountable for that. You're responsible for that. That radical accountability is the scariest thing in the entire world, but also the most realist thing you can ever accept. If something in your life is not how you want it to be, you have three choices. Change it, leave it, or accept it. It's that simple. Okay, I don't like how this is going. Cool, I'm going to change it. This isn't serving me anymore. I'm going to walk away. You know what? This is something I can deal with. I'll stay here. We'll figure it out. And there's also maybe this shift into, would it be happening if it wasn't meant to happen? Are there accidents? Is the source that's bigger than us capable of making mistakes? I don't think so. Maybe that belief is naive or keeps me holding on, but it's emunah, it's faith. This knowing that, like, no matter what happens, it's as God intended, otherwise it wouldn't be happening. It's that simple. It wouldn't be happening if it wasn't how it was supposed to go. And if you disagree with that, then you're being called to look deeper at something. You're being called to look at why you're resisting that. Because the only constant in life is change. And we either go with the tide, or we get swept out, or we kick a rock and we hurt ourselves. Those are the choices we have. I think we're all going to come to that trial of God. Meet our Maker in some way. I don't know how it's going to go. Why did you allow all this? Why did you allow all this? So powerful, right? That quote just keeps resonating with me over and over and over. It's like I haven't been able to let it go. And it's easy to go into the darkness, right? I think we've all had those moments where it's like, I feel helpless. This is broken. This doesn't work this way. Everything in the universe is just working against me right now. I don't know what I can do differently. But it's in those moments we're called to pivot and look at things a new way and be like, okay, where's the light in this? Maybe I'm the light. Maybe I'm meant to be what shifts this darkness. Maybe there's this spark inside of me, this ruach, this prana, this energy, this chi, this life force that's meant to click on and light up the dark. Even when it seems like it's beyond our comprehension. So we've got a few more days till Mercury figures itself out. Then I have nothing to blame, but that's okay. But I can't be the only one who feels this. I mean, even the technology things this morning, like you can't make some of this stuff up. Oh my gosh, I don't even remember what it was. Something happened the other day and I was like, Mercury, man, you are unreal. You just make some weird stuff happen. And I'm the only one who feels like everything's been like opposite. Like everything, the way things normally go, the past few weeks it's just been like, nah, we're gonna do it this way instead. So we've got a new moon. It's a new moon in Gemini. No offense to the Geminis, but hold on tight. I'm sorry. I grew up in a house with 2 Geminis. My mom was a Gemini and my brother was a Gemini, and I'm like a very sensitive little Cancer. It was a lot. It was a lot. So with Geminis, I'm always just like, all right, it's cool. I'm gonna go with, you're gonna give me dark or light today. I'm gonna go with whatever you give me because there is no choice. And maybe that's what it is. We have the choice. If there's darkness in front of us, do we come out and light it up? If there's light in front of us, do we go in and shine a little brighter? Where are we being called to do that? Because I got to tell you, I appreciate thoughts, I appreciate prayer, but I'm really big on action. I'm really big on action, you don't say. It's like I became a rabbi because there wasn't one on the island. What do you know? But genuinely, and I think that's what we're being called to get into our heart space, to get into our head space, and then to get into our bodies, and then use them with what God gave them to us for. It's a gift that we're still in this body. I sat in a room last week. We had our last Pune Strong Leaders Grantee workshop. And one of my dear beloved board members who passed away a few years ago, Renee Saracusa, who was like my Hanai grandma, was connected to every single person in that room in some way. She had been my grant writer. She had been the president of the Pahoa Main Street Association. She had been the president of Malama Opuna. The Pahoa Roundabout's named after her now because I bugged Ashley Kirkovitz enough. I was like, you got to do this. I'm going to call you every day till you do it. It's got to be named after Renee. It happened, didn't it? Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Ashley, for that too. Me and Iopa Mauna Kea, that was a good one. But it was amazing to me to see how her legacy was still so alive. That even though she's left her body and she's only with us in spirit now, her spirit was so alive in that room through all the action. She woke up every single morning and got shit done, for lack of a better way of putting it. And that was the way she put it. Every single day. And for me, it was just this amazing moment of like, even when we do take our last breath, even when we do leave our bodies, our actions live on. That's our legacy. That's what we leave behind. So the more powerful we can make every action, the more loving and intentional we can make every action, the more our imprint on this planet is felt, and we are Tikkun Olam. We are healing the world. I remember Renee sitting right back there and watching me speak one of the first times I ever came. And I hope one day that when I take my last breath, someone stands up and says similar things about me. I want them to say, Rabbi Rachel got shit done. Those exact words, okay? But genuinely, that's my message today. High tide or low tide, where can you paddle out? Where can you still take action? Where can you know to say, you know, the water's a little rough today, it's a little rocky, I'm gonna swim instead. Or, ooh, the tide is perfect, it's glassy and clean, let's go rip. That's my call today. A call to action. I appreciate prayers, I appreciate thoughts, I appreciate love. Love is action. Prayer is action. When we are conduits of the divine, we're that action. So with that said, I've got a little something to share with you. As I sit at my desk, I try to make sense. My body and mind feel so tense. So much news and media that's still so dense. People who still choose to be on the fence. People are dying, my intensity hence, because from our children, our planet we rent. And I think we're all being called to deeply repent. How can it make sense when it doesn't seem real? There's so much darkness, so much to heal. It's more pain and fear than I dare try feel. It's like God's light we just conceal. Children are dying, begging for their next meal. I wish I could do something, make some sort of deal. Under the surface, I guess we must peel back the layers, ground and kneel. Focus on what matters, like my daughter. That's not green, it's teal. But I just keep thinking about the others' lives he did steal, and why we as a people can't let God take the wheel. I can't just sit quiet. Something must be done, because I can't stand to see another school with a gun. School is the place you're supposed to have fun, be a kid and be playful, not hide and run. As a mother, this makes me just want to go numb. The burden upon us weigh more than a ton. We are the voices of our daughters and sons. We, as parents, don't deserve the stun. In no way as a people have we won. Just listen to the earth, the moon, and the sun. Sometimes it seems change is next to none. High tide and low tide, above and below. I choose to surrender. I choose to let go. I choose to remain open, not need to know, but I vow to take action. We were put here to grow. The darkness there is, the divine does show, and it's how we respond to another big blow. Our seeds and our soil, we reap what we sow. How can we as a people stoop so low? But just like the tide, the ebb and flow, we're all in the boat. We choose how we row. Our freedom is gone like Wade versus Roe, but you can still murder by a gun at a show. I'm here at God's armor with my angels in tow. Enough is enough. The divine is like, whoa. It's time to stand up. There is power in no. Enough is enough. The divine is like, yo, I just don't get why you people can't listen. Why my message you just keep missing. You're so consumed, you've abandoned tradition. It's like every one of you forgot your mission. That I put you here, I gave you permission. Please heal the world, that's what I'm wishing. I put you here, and I gave you volition. I want you to practice. I don't want to hear your preach, because everything needed is within your reach. I gave you the stars, the moon, and the beach. I gave you the lessons for your children to teach. All these blessings upon you I beseech, but from my creation, all you people do is leech. When I gave you such power, each of you with a niche. Sometimes as a human, I feel helpless and alone. I don't want to be here where we live in our phones. Through ages of trauma, we've wandered and roamed. So how are we here when we're supposed to have grown? We are spirits in a body on loan. Signs everywhere, we are constantly shown. We are out of alignment. The divine is making this known. There's no way around it. The cover's been blown. Our children aren't safe, no matter how much we moan. I try to speak up in all keys and tones. But in a system that's broken, there's much more to hone. I'm not backing down or throwing our government a bone, because my last has officially flown. Our children deserve to be healthy and safe, but here in America, that isn't the case. I'm sorry, but this country is an utter disgrace, a crime upon humanity we need to erase. Completely disconnected from the heart space, an outdated system, a giant rat race. Darkness increasing at too steady of pace. The time is now, we must replace. Stand up to evil, look fear in the face. Enough is enough, we need a new base. It's time for change with poise and grace. Spiritual armor, your boots you shall lace. It's up to us to lead us to a new place. I wish I had the answers or knew it all, but sometimes I feel like I'm just too small. I know there's some who say they can't believe my gall, and when I use my voice, it's like I'm 20 feet tall. But I just call out where we've dropped the ball and speak for the one who says there's no time to stall. You can't sell the sacred, it doesn't live in the mall. Babylon and Rome surely did fall. Sodom and Gomorrah got a divine overhaul when enough was enough and God hit a wall. The first thing God gave us was light and dark. Why did we forget this? We've missed the mark. The knowing that it took only one spark to light up your world, the angels hark. The contrast we live in is overwhelmingly stark. We hear you in the children's cry and the song of the lark. I could go on and talk all day, but I believe it's better if I pray and say my wish here today is that we heal our world come what may. No more children in the ground shall lay. We have to do better and dawn a new day. I want peace and harmony. That is the way that we all must listen to what you need to say. That from our hearts and from you, I don't want us to stray. That we see more rainbows in the reality of gray. That we shine our light, keep darkness at bay. That we be the thread for our moral fabric does fray. That we stop caring if you're straight or you're gay. That we build a bridge from Hawaii, nay. To the rest of the world, we offer a lay. Our ancestors' debts and our own we do pay. May we light up the darkness, be the moon ray, flow like the tide, swift and sway. With earthly nonsense, not get carried away, but know that we are here to find a new way. Let our heart shift to the space of yay, high tide or low tide. Shaloha. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.